All right guys, we've got another shaft job to do. This one's going to be relatively simple. What we have is a 20 millimeter shaft. It's got one 6 millimeter keyway milled on one end, and it has three 7 millimeter holes drilled. So you got one hole in that end, and on the opposite end here we have a couple more holes drilled in there, 7 millimeter. There's a bearing that fits up right here on that end, and then you've also got a bearing that fits here. You can see the wear on there. So pretty simple. So they supplied the material. This is 20 millimeter shaft stock, turn, ground, and polished. This is that Thompson brand. They make a lot of the like turn, ground, and polished hardened rod stock, but seems like some good stuff. Should be right on size, right on our 20 millimeter size. And then we've also got this pulley right here, some kind of pulley that fits on that end right there where that key is, and they want to replace these two. So we got to make two of these. So this will be the most time consuming and difficult part, is making these guys, but that won't be bad. We'll take some aluminum stock and make those. Okay, so that's it. We're going to go ahead and get started on them. I need to cut them a length. I'll probably just turn them a length, face them, and then that's going to be a simple milling machine job where we'll mill that one key and then get the holes drilled. I'm going to take it over there to the table so I can measure it. I left myself about 100 thousandths to face off of the shaft, so approximately 50 thousandths per side. And as I suspected, we've got approximately 50 to 60 thousandths to come off of the face, and that end isn't super critical. All right, one shaft face. We'll do the same thing on the second shaft and get it done. So on the end of each shaft where the keyway is, there's actually an 8mm hole tapped in there, a little over 1 inch deep. So we're gonna go ahead and knock that out now. We're going to go in with a 6.7mm drill bit, or 264 thousandths diameter. Checking my depth. Let it go a little bit deeper. There we go. Chamfer the end. I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and chuck the tap in the drill chuck and just power tap it, just let it pull the tailstock in. So ideally for a blind hole, you're gonna wanna use a spiral fluted tap or even a hand tap. The only one I have that's 8mm, 8 by 1.25 is this gun tap or spiral pointed tap, so it pushes the chips forward. That's why I gave it a little bit of extra clearance so that hopefully the chips should just kind of push to the very bottom there and it won't bind it up too bad. So let's give it a shot and see. I'll just visually watch it go in until it gets to the end of the threads, and that should be good enough. I'm sure it's just for a bolt that goes in the end that holds something on the end of the shaft there. We'll put this anchor lube on there. Always works great for tapping operations. On about 100 RPM. I got the tailstock nice and slick on the bottom with whey oil. Just push it in there and it should just pull it in. I got my hand on the back of the tailstock just to kind of help keep the weight off of it. All right, so that's to the end of the thread. I know that that's already as deep as the original shaft, so that's going to work out fine. Just reverse it, let it come on out. Just pull on the handle a little bit so when it clears, it just comes right on out, just like that. And there's a nice, perfectly straight hole in line with the axis of the shaft. We're set up in the milling machine now to mill our keyway, get our hole drilled here, and then we'll flip it around. We got a couple holes on the opposite end. So just got a couple of short parallels here in the vise down, and I'm using my machinist jack right there to hold the outer end. What I like to do is I just set the shaft right in the middle, balance it on the vise and on the parallels, and then I run the machinist jack all the way up here and just run it up to where it just touches, and then that's set. So we'll use this edge finder to find the center of the shaft now. And we got to drop it. Kicked off, and just use our half y-axis, bring it to our 0 point there. I've got the cutter set up. We're using a 6mm end mill, and so we've already got our depth set, and we're going to be cutting it 30mm long. We are ready to cut. All right, we've got her all stepped off, and we're going to be drilling a 7mm through hole there, and it's 87mm from the end of the shaft. We'll spot it with this stubby drill here. Yeah, just get our spot, and we'll put our other drill in here and drill it through. Slow it down just a little bit. This is one of our new drills out of our Cleveland, drill index. I got that metric drill index. And I don't have a parallel underneath the middle of it there. All right, there we go. Easy enough. Just got to flip the shaft around. We'll get our keyway leveled out because I believe all the holes are in line, and then we'll step it off, and we'll have 2 more to drill on the opposite end. I do want to chamfer the hole before we take it out of there though, so break that corner off. Yeah, that looks good. And what we'll do is we'll just rotate it, line it up with the drill, and then chamfer the other side nicely. Man, I love a good sharp chamfering tool. All right, we got our key, and I got the drill stuck in there so you can see it's aligned pretty darn good. And on the opposite end, these are just reference lines, by the way. So we got a 66mm from the end, and then center to center, I got it written down, is 40mm. So 66mm and then 40mm in between. 66. Go ahead and spot one. I've got an incremental set to 0, so now we'll just go ahead and step it down to our 40 millimeter. Spot that one in while we got the drill in there. There we go, 40 mil. Again, I have my little blocks, my parallels pulled out so that the drill will clear them in the middle of it there.
All right.
All right, that is going to complete the first shaft. Everything looks good. We'll pull that guy out of there and set the other one, and you know, I'm just going to do the same exact thing that we just showed you on the first shaft, and then that will finish up the 2 shafts there. All right, well, we've got both of the shafts completed and ready to go. Got our tapped hole, 6 millimeter keyway. We have our 7 millimeter drilled holes, and our 7 millimeter holes drilled on this end there. All right, so that part of it's done. Now we can move on to the little aluminum pulley that's going to go on the keyed end there.